While some of you folks are waiting for dessert, we're going to move the program along here. I'll introduce the Executive Director of the Coalition on Adoption Institute, Ms. Katherine Chapman. Ms. Chapman Ms. Chapman comes to her role at CCAI after nearly a decade working as a legislative aide on Capitol Hill. Now 15 years in the field of adoption and foster care policy, she is sought after as an expert, having appeared on C-SPAN, Fox News, CNN, and NBC News. But perhaps her favorite starring role is that of wife and mother to her three young children, Grace, Noah, and Liam. Without further ado, please help me welcome Ms. Katherine Chapman to the stage. Kathleen.
My personal hero, Mother Teresa, once said, "God does not ask us to do great things. He asks us to do small things with great love." We are here tonight to celebrate the 142 individuals who each day did small things with great love, and as a result, a child's life was changed for the better. Whether you are a judge whose commitment to children goes beyond the courtroom, or a pastor who feels called by God to find families for his children, or a teacher who gave the child a love and support that they needed to thrive, you are living proof that no step is too small to make a big difference. It is possible for each and every child in the world to know the love and the safety that only a family can provide. But for this dream to become a reality, we all must be willing to do our part, whatever that part might be. In my many years working on behalf of children without families, I have seen too often the hollow look that fills the eyes of a child who's left alone in this world. I have met young people who live in constant fear of falling down in life because there's no one to catch them when they do. And perhaps the worst, I have listened to children explain that maybe it is just they don't deserve to be loved in the way they see other children. This should not be. On the flip side, I have seen elation on the face of a small child as they toddled towards the arm of a loving parent. I have been witness to the moments when a teenager tries to protest the overbearing love of their parents. And I have been the direct beneficiary of the difference that other people have made in the lives of our 133 foster youth interns. This might shock some of you, but there are people in the world that do not think being in a family matters to a child. And there are others who simply do not know how important the love of a family is for their growth. These people mistake children's physical needs for food and shelter as being supreme to their need for love, when in fact, we know it's the other way around. Another one of my personal heroes was my mom. She used to say, "Kathleen, always remember, the world is what we make of it." This simple phrase has always rooted me in the notion that there is no problem in the world we cannot overcome if we are willing to try. It is for this reason that we at CCI continue to seek out the barriers that prevent children from realizing their basic right to a family, and we remain committed to knocking them down one by one. There are many ways that we seek to accomplish this mission. The Angels in Adoption program, which we celebrate here tonight, gives members of Congress the opportunity to single out a local hero whose work is making an indelible difference in their communities. Our 2020 Vision program brings together public and private leaders from all over the world and asks them to take time out of their lives to see life through the eyes of an orphan or foster child. And through National Adoption Day, we remind the nation that there are 100,000 children in the U.S. alone who are waiting for the one day when they too can belong. And then there is our foster youth internship program, through which we give talented young leaders the opportunity to intern for a summer with a member of Congress. While I could tell you about that incredible program, in the spirit of it, I would rather you hear from the FYI themselves.
Life is a journey. My journey has been trying to attain this goal.
I really want to be able to have an effect on change because I went through some things that I don't want anybody to ever have to go through.
Well, for me, I'd like to be able to give something back. I went through the system without a voice. If one adult got involved in a young person's life, our outcomes would be very different.
I was abandoned by both parents. When you lose that consistency, you lose trust and you lose the ability to let people into your life.
When you're being switched around from home to home and you switch to your third social worker, you've been separated from your siblings. Who are you supposed to trust? Who are you supposed to open up to? Who do you talk to?
I know a lot of people who I lived with in my group home that are now dead or are on drugs or are prostituting, and so it's sad.
I struggled in the foster care system. I used to live in group homes, I worked in group homes, but this gives me the chance to help make a difference for those that are still in care.
CCAI is a program that brings young people from all over the country who experience foster care to DC to write about foster care reform.
Foster care policy and foster care reform is so important to me because it's something I lived through. This is a part of my life.
We can bring to the table the personal aspect of when it comes to writing a bill or advocating for a bill. It's based on our personal experience, but not only our personal experience, but we could actually also relate to those that are still in care.
I think there needs to be a lot of reform and a lot of work done. These youth are suffering day to day. They're not getting the resources that are needed to live a successful life. And CCAI has really given me the opportunity to see the whole political and policy side and the entire process that it takes to pass legislation to really better the child welfare system.
Being in the foster care system, there are a lot of things that aren't open to you because you're a foster kid. And I really feel like being a part of a program like this has changed my outlook and has kind of inspired me and motivated me to say, you know what, you can do bigger things.
I'm someone who really is motivated and energized about politics, and to come out to Congress has really, really opened my eyes to the potential of what my career can be and what life has for me.
The program has just been awesome. It's a good way for me to be involved in my community, and it's a good way for me to be involved in child welfare, and it's a good way for me to make an impact on someone's life.
I'm at a place right now where I feel that I'm capable, and I think that's something I haven't had before. I definitely want to make a difference. You know, if I could just change one life, I think I would have accomplished my goals.
I'm not supposed to be in front of you today. According to statistics, I should be part of the 50% that never graduated high school. I should be homeless. I should be in a prison or a mental ward right now. I wish these statistics weren't true, but they are. The reality of the possible outcomes for foster youth. These youth are removed from one world hell to a system that seems to do more harm than good. They say it takes a village to raise a child, but for a child that has dwelled in the dark abyss of hopelessness all their life, it only takes one person to save them. It takes one person to restore hope within that youth. It takes one person to let that child know that there is someone out there that genuinely cares about them. That one person can be the difference of a child turned adult led astray down a wrong path, or a youth that can stand here today and tell you that no matter where you come from or what you have been through that you could defy statistics and be anything you set your mind to. But it still takes at least that one person. It took me a while to meet that person, but when I did, she set a fire underneath me that led me out of my struggle. I was never a child. Born to a drug-addicted mother, my earliest memories was seeing her and my siblings being abused. I was also abused from a very young age, including periods of my childhood where I was locked in by nails in my bedroom, and the few meals I received were given to me underneath my door. When I went in foster care at the age of 13, I expected to be treated better, but instead I found myself behind the magnetic locked doors of a group home. This was because I was a teenager and very few foster parents actually wanted me in their homes or wanted to adopt me. In these group homes, I had to defend myself and my property every single day. Conflicts between me and my housemates would end up being the cause for criminal charges against me. Between the ages of 13 and 18, I was in about 30 group homes and juvenile detention facilities. In these homes, attending a traditional public school was a privilege. After I enrolled into my 11th high school, I began to feel like all hope was lost. I was repeating 9th grade for the 3rd time because my social workers and school officials failed to transfer the credits I earned between each new school. So the first day of Somerville High School in South Carolina, I sat in the keyboard in the class very depressed. It was then that one person, my teacher, Karen Parker, asked me if I was okay. I replied, "I'm hungry." That morning was a usual morning for me. I had spent many of my days fighting other kids in the group home for my meals. After she learned of my story, Karen Parker was angry. She demanded my social worker to get me a better placement and to make sure I had the proper credits to graduate. When he refused to do that, she made sure I got another caseworker. Her persistence helped gain me those credits, and I became a sophomore, just a few credits short of a junior. I enlisted in the United States Army Reserve when I was 17 under the Split Options program. I went to basic training this summer after my junior year of high school and came back to high school after my senior year. At that time, I was 18, and I was emancipated from the foster care system. I was homeless at times, but I got a full-time job, pulled myself up, and graduated from high school at the age of 19. It is true that my hard work pulled me through. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It is true that my hard work helped pull me through, but it is also because one person gave me hope and fought for me when no one else did. Over the summer, I was blessed to be able to intern with the Congressional Coalition on Adoption Institute. I got the chance to intern with Senator Roy Blunt, write a congressional report presented to members of Congress. One of my recommendations, the A+ Act, is in the process of becoming law. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are making me blush. Yeah, cover that. This change in law would allow social workers to assess school records so they can ensure they receive credits towards graduation as they transition to new schools. Through my internships, I made many strong connections. Never in my life had I had such strong support. I have told Kathleen Chapman that she has done more for me than my family has ever has in the short period that I have known her. I would like to give special thanks to her and all the staff at the Congressional Coalition on Adoption Institute. Thank you, Allison, for being so sweet and always being able to listen to us, foster youth interns, when we needed someone. Thank you, for all your hard work and help me develop my congressional report. I will also thank Lindsay Ellebogen and the Sarah Stark Trust Fund for investing in me. Last but not least, I'd like to thank all of you in the audience. Thanks for everything you have done in the past and everything that you do now and that you will do in the future. Sometimes it may seem that your efforts may be too small to make any progress, but trust me, it means the world to a foster child. It only took one person to help me change. Currently, I'm still serving in the Army Reserves, working as a campaign staffer in the Missouri State Senate 3rd District, complete my bachelor's degree in social work criminology, while volunteering as a court-appointed special advocate for foster children. Okay. I plan on attending law school, and I'm considering running for Missouri State House of Representatives in 2016. Thank you. Every foster child, no matter how lost they may seem to be, has the potential to do great things. It only takes one person to help bring about that change, and I'm dependent on all y'all to make that change. Thank you.
RJ, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Doing good.
I think I'm next here.
Thank you for coming out.
Well, I'm Missouri Senator Roy Blunt, and I'm here to recruit candidates for the General Assembly. We were pleased to have RJ with us in our Senate office this year. You know, RJ Thurgood Marshall said that none of us got where we are solely by pulling ourselves up by our own bootstraps. He went on to say we got here because somebody, a parent, a teacher, an Ivy League crony, you and I didn't have one of those, but he might have, a few nuns bent down and helped us pick up our own boots. Exceptional young adults like RJ are a testament that one person can make a difference. In RJ's case, the story he told me, it was a teacher, and that teacher made a real difference for seeing that a student didn't get left behind. It seems that in your story that Mrs. Parker knew the difference between wanting someone to do well and doing everything in her power to be certain that person flourished. I'm sure I'm not alone in wondering if Mrs. Parker were standing beside you here tonight, what would you want to say to her? Well, good for all of us, RJ. We don't have to imagine what you'd want to say to her. Ladies and gentlemen, I get to introduce Miss Karen Parker.
She's not here today.
She is here.
She is here?
You mean Miss Karen Parker? Let me say a couple of things here. We're glad you're here. So RJ said, when I said I was going to introduce Miss Karen Parker, he said she's not here today. But RJ, she is here today, and of course, all the lives you're going to impact, and especially your life, was fortunate enough to have somebody who decided to be a mentor to you, someone who helped you navigate the educational bureaucracy, someone who decided there was a way to put all those credits from all those different schools together in a way that ensured you were going to graduate. And Karen played that role. She has been teaching in the Dorchester district since 1995. For the past 15 years, she's worked at Somerville High School as a business teacher and a school-to-work coordinator. For the purposes here tonight, she is the person that decided she was going to make a difference in RJ's life. Karen Parker.
I think we did good, Allison. Thank you, Senator Blunt. First, I would like to thank the Congressional Coalition on Adoption Institute and Allison for inviting me to this gala tonight. I'm honored to be amongst so many angels. Second, RJ, I'm so proud of you and your accomplishments. I would not miss this for the world. I'm so happy I could be your surprise guest tonight.
Yes. Such a surprise.
Today's teachers have so many responsibilities to their students, communities, and schools. There's not enough hours in a day for me to help my 180 kids I teach. However, one student at a time, we teachers can make a difference. As you can see, I'm here tonight with my former student, RJ. We've been through a lot together, and RJ has taught me more than I have taught him. I have only cried for one student in my 17 years of teaching, and it was for you, RJ. During those days, it was sad tears. Today, they are happy tears. No child should ever have to live in the conditions that RJ did during his teenage years. He was not able to be a child. He had to grow up fast and by himself. I vowed to be his advocate and fight for him, since he had no voice and no mentor. The system and the adults in charge of him failed miserably. After visiting his group home and its horrific living conditions, I wrote then-Governor Mark Sanford a 5-page letter. It was closed within a month. When I demanded results from his case manager, When I demanded results from his case manager and he did not deliver, I requested a new case manager. I fought for you like no one had ever done before. However, every day you had to fight for survival. Not only did RJ attend school, he worked full-time at a local fast food restaurant. He never missed a day of school, and he passed all of his classes. He was respectful, polite, and a pleasure to have in class. After the first month of school, I noticed that RJ never brought a book to class. Well, after the third time in 9th grade, I guess he didn't have to. Once I found out his situation with lack of credits, I went into overdrive. Along with his guidance counselor, Ms. Carolyn Jessen, we were able to move him up a grade. It does take a village to raise a child, and I need to thank my school community or family for its support and help. With RJ's determination, he was able to graduate from Southside in Anderson, South Carolina. I attended his high school graduation, and I cannot wait to attend your college graduation next year. Since I did not understand the life of a foster boy, a friend recommended Dave Peltzer's book, The Boy Called It. RJ and I enjoyed reading this series about his childhood, teenage years, and then adulthood. RJ reflected on how their lives were so similar. I told him, we all have a story. Look at you now, RJ. I cannot wait to read your autobiography one day. Your future is bright. Mr. Pelzer was inspired by your recent congressional report. He sent me an autographed book to give you tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
3 weeks ago, I wrote my 2 senators, Senator DeMint and Senator Graham, to support the A+ Act that RJ proposed. I encourage you to do the same. Please help the many other RJs out there to be successful in high school and to graduate. RJ, you have a special place in my heart. I love you like a son. Thank you.
Oh my God. I was surprised.
Senator Blunt, I started my NFL career in St. Louis, Missouri. You were true to the state motto, the show me state. You showed us something tonight. Boy, thank you. And RJ and Miss Parker, that was just wonderful. In addition to being a key member of the Republican leadership in the United States Senate, Mr. Blunt and his wife Abby also are proud parents of 4 children, the youngest of whom they adopted from Russia. RJ, as he mentioned, had the great privilege of serving in his office this summer. And speaking of Republican leaders, we will now welcome to the stage Representative Michelle Bachmann to appropriately summarize her long list of accomplishments. In the time that I have is really impossible. But as a former football player, I can tell you that I really size people up by their stats. So let me share a few of Representative Bachmann's stats for you. Number 1, Ms. Bachmann was the first Republican woman to represent the great state of Minnesota in Congress. 34 is the number of years she's been married to her husband. And 23 is the number of youth that they have fostered together at that time. And 4,823 is the number of votes that she received to make her the winner of the Iowa straw poll. Very, very impressive numbers. She will be joined on stage by Lisa Martin, the oldest of the 5 daughters of former CIO of Target, CCAI executive board member and advocate extraordinaire, the late Paul Singer. When not continuing her father's legacy, Lisa spends her days as a business development manager of Super Value. She and her husband are the proud parents of 3 beautiful children, Blake, Sophie, and Allison. Please welcome to the stage Representative Michelle Bachmann and Lisa Martin.
Thank you. Very well done. Thank you. Well, good evening. It's so wonderful to be with a room filled with angels. You're absolutely beautiful to look at, and RJ was fabulous. From its inception, the CCAI has been steadfast in its belief that there is no such thing as an unadoptable child, merely unfound families. The reason that millions of children will go to bed tonight alone is not because there is not a family to love them, but because our laws and our systems are not yet as effective as they need to be to bring together a waiting child and a wanting parent. Our goal is to change that, and we will. Because CCAI's vision is to inspire the most powerful voices in the world to speak out for the world's voiceless. Perhaps no one had a clearer vision of this future than our dear friend and fellow Minnesotan, the wonderful Paul Singer. After Paul's untimely passing, the Congressional Coalition on Adoption announced the creation of the Paul Singer Memorial Award to be given to a business or governmental leader who has gone above and beyond their defined corporate or agency roles to advocate for better adoption and or foster care policies worldwide. Honorees are selected from among those individuals whom the Singer family and the CCAI board feel best exemplify Paul's passion and skill as an advocate for children in need of adoption, particularly Paul's unyielding faith, personal integrity, compassion, and perseverance. It is my sincere pleasure to present the second ever Paul Singer Memorial Award to Dr. Sharon Ford. For 28 years, Dr. Ford has lent her vision and heart to the state's Department of Human Services. As a result of her leadership, more than 20,000 waiting Colorado children have been placed for adoption, and nearly 2,000 adoptive families have been served by the Colorado Post-Adoption Resource Center, which she initiated in partnership with the Adoption Exchange. Let's give them a round of applause. A large part of this success is due in no small part to Colorado's Wait No More campaign, a partnership with the state's faith-based community. You only need to see Sharon Ford speak once to know why it is that Sharon is so effective at recruiting families for Colorado's waiting children. Her no-nonsense, heartfelt message is one that leaves people who hear it with a deep desire to take the next step toward making a difference for a child in need. When asked about her vision for the future, Sharon wastes no time in responding. She said, and I quote, "To see the day when there are waiting families, not waiting children." Lisa? Joining me tonight in presenting this award is the wonderful Lisa Martin. She is the oldest of the 5 daughters of the late Paul Singer. When not continuing her father's legacy, Lisa spends her days as a business development manager for Super Value. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Sharon Ford.
Good evening, everyone. It is a wonderful opportunity to be here at CCAI. But you know, my heart is beating so fast, and it's beating for the children, the 400,000 kids who are today waiting, and they want to wait no more. And I know that there is the opportunity for us to change that time of waiting to nothing, because all of you are champions, and you know someone that you can have a casual, courageous conversation to say, you know, I know a child. And some of them might be a 15-year-old child. They might even be 18 and counting. Yes, there are 18-year-olds who want their forever family. There are 16-year-olds who are saying, you know, have they forgotten about me? And we can't forget about the children, no matter what age they are. And I've had the wonderful opportunity of having partners, faith partners, who said, you know, can we sit down at the table with you and have a conversation? Are you going to say this thing about separation of church and state? You know, the only separation is the line that someone drew in the sand. But when the tide comes up and washes that line away, the line is gone. And we can sit at a table and talk about the needs of our young people who really do want to have their forever family. They don't want to leave our system to no one and nothing. And so for all the children across the U.S. who continue to wait today, please sit down. Sit down with your faith community. Let them come and knock on your door. Let them pick up the phone and call you and have those conversations, because there is a family. There's no unadoptable child. We do have the ability to find the right family. We need to be open in our hearts and in our minds, open. And some of the things, you know, quirky families, because we have some quirky kind of kids. But we have the right families for those kids, and those families want to come in, and so we have to cast a wide net and have those families come on in, sit down with us, and we can tell them all about our kids, and we can learn all about them. You know, I sing a little song, and I can't sing according to my sisters. It's about getting to know you, getting to know you, getting to know all about you. See, caseworkers and social workers want to get to know the families. And our kids, they want to get to know the families too. So if we can open our doors just a little bit wider, if we can have some more courageous conversations with some people, then the faith-based partners, they'll come to the table, they'll sit and they'll listen to us, and we can do that thing that's called building a relationship. I was so blessed to have an opportunity to partner with Focus on the Family and Project 127 in Colorado. Those are two of my biggest faith-based partners, and I have many, many more. You saw Bethany Christian Services up here. Those are my partners, and I go to them and I talk to them about our kids, because if I don't, who will? And you pick up the phone and you call on your friends. You ask them to do favors for you, to speak up and make a difference in the life of a kid. And I know that you know some people, and you can pick up the phone. You can see them in the grocery store. You can see them wherever. But bring your partners to the table. Welcome them in and ask them to do something not for you, but for a child. Because when you keep the focus on the children, it's bipartisan, it's bicameral, it makes it happen, it all works. And so I thank you for being those courageous people who make the difference in the life of a child. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Our next guest is a lifelong Arkansas resident who is dedicated to serving his state and his country. Raised in Fort Smith, played football for the University of Arkansas Razorbacks, While completing his pro-optometry requirements after optometry school, he and his brother co-founded a family business that would ultimately become a major provider of eye care to Northwest Arkansas. Before becoming sworn in as U.S. Senator in January of 2011, he served the 3rd District of Arkansas in the U.S. House of Representatives for 5 terms, advocating especially on behalf of veterans and the infrastructure needs of his state. Some of you may not be aware of this, but the Arkansas Razorbacks stumbled last Saturday. I know he's aware of that. So, to lift his spirit, as I introduce Senator John Boozman, please join me by saying, "Soo-wee!" Let's hear it. Soo-wee! There you go, Senator John Boozman.
I feel like I'm right at home with that. Karen, thank you so much. What a wonderful story. My only concern is that RJ is going to move to Arkansas and run for the Senate now. Few people don't realize this, but I'm also an annual contender for People's Sexiest Man of the Year award. What I don't understand is how year after year I get beat out by average-looking people like Brad Pitt and George Clooney. Roy Blunt, Senator Blunt, sitting out there saying, "Be careful, your nose is going to start growing." Seriously, though, the fact that all of you know exactly what I'm referring to shows the impact that the top celebrity weekly, People magazine, has on American pop culture. Over the past 40 years, People magazine has provided intimate access into the lives of not only celebrities, but also personal, rich, reported human interest stories that speak to and often mirror the lives of the 43 million people that read the magazine. The magazine has won multiple awards for its excellence, including coverage of worldwide events such as 9/11. Tonight, we honor People magazine for the hundreds of times they have written stories about adoption and foster care. Whether it is by sharing the news of a celebrity who's recently adopted a child, or telling the story of a local pastor, one who's helped 76 foster children in his community find homes with church families. People magazine is obviously committing to helping to advance the cause of children in need of homes. Their simple reminder that there are so many heroes among us serves as a call to action for each of us to stand up and do our part to make this world a better place. Ladies and gentlemen, here with us tonight is Betsy Glick, Executive Editor of People magazine. Please join me in celebrating People magazine, a 2012 Angel in Adoption.
Thank you, Senator Boozman, and thanks so much to CCAI. It's really, really a pleasure to be here. And I have to say, it's an election year, and I think that the brightest spot of bipartisan agreement right now rests in kind of a general hatred of the media. And so I'm really especially grateful to receive this honor. Thanks. And I want to say that it's a cliche, but the stories that we've seen tonight and heard tonight eclipse anything that People does, and it's really humbling to be in everybody's presence. I feel like we're really just the bearer of everybody else's beautiful message. That said, I am very proud that you recognize the power of what we do, the stories that I work on every week and that matter the most to me personally. Because these images and these stories and this award shows, it's a great reminder of why I became a journalist to begin with.
The stories have an incredible, transformative power, the power to change people's lives, to inspire people to make a difference in their own little corners of the world, and to make the world a better place. And nothing is more important than starting with children. What makes a family? I think that everyone will agree that in the late years of the last century and in this century so far, the answer to that question has morphed and is continuing to morph infinitely, and it embraces a wide range of human relationships. And whatever the answer, People magazine, which was founded in 1974, has covered it. Our philosophy, ever since our founding, has been to tell intimate stories of real lives, whether it's an ordinary citizen or a huge Hollywood star, and to find in that story the relatable, universal nuggets of truth. So when a Brad and Angelina or a Katherine Heigl are featured on our cover, our 43 million readers will think, I can do that too. I can open my heart and my home to a child. And we know that this is how our readers respond. When I got word that that People had won this honor, I tried to do some research. I thought it would be really interesting to see how many times we had featured adoption and foster care stories. And let me tell you, here's what I found. We were founded in 1974. Within the first few months of our founding, we had done a story about a family that brought home 2 girls from Vietnam after the end of the Vietnam War. And then the counting sort of became impossible and overwhelming. In just the last year, we have done dozens of stories about adoption and foster care. Too many pieces to have my summer interns count for me. But, and no offense to Katherine and to Josh, the stories that are closest to my heart are those that we do about ordinary Americans, usually not men and women of means, people who make their lives richer by adding 1 or 5 or 18, as I met somebody last night at the event, 18 children, or in the case of the town of Possum Trot, Texas, 76 children to their families. And I know from the reader mail that when we run a story about somebody like Andrea Faris Roberts, a mother of a child with Down syndrome who decided to make it easier for other families to adopt children with Down syndrome from all over the world, we hear from readers who want to get involved, who want to start a similar organization in their hometowns or give Ms. Roberts money. They are inspired. And that is journalism at its best. It's journalism that gets others to take action and to see their world anew. As Dorothy Cartwright, a mom in our story about Possum Trot, the town that adopted 76 children, and Ms. Cartwright herself adopted 6, as Dorothy Cartwright told People, every child needs a home and a chance. So for recognizing People's role in getting this vital, simple thought out to many people, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thanks.
All right, our second presenter tonight had led a selfless fight throughout her career to help children find loving and supportive families. And she is absolutely drop-dead popular in her state of California. Before coming to Congress, she has served as the first woman speaker of the California Assembly and the founding executive director of Community Coalition, a nonprofit organization dedicated to improving the impoverished lives of residents of South LA. In addition to co-chairing the Congressional Coalition on Adoption Caucus, she also founded and serves as the chair of the House Caucus on Foster Care, where she continues to lead a bipartisan effort to improve the U.S. foster care system. I'm going to just stop talking about all of her achievements or we'd be here all night. So please just help me welcome the U.S. Representative for California's 33rd District, Ms. Karen Bass.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. What an inspiring evening this is, am I right? It's just been amazing. I'll get to my comments in a minute, but I have to begin by just really congratulating Kathleen Stratman and Senator Landrieu for your leadership over all these years in doing God's work. They need another round of applause. I'm just in my second year in Congress, but what's been so wonderful is that I get to come to Congress and there's people who have been here who have spent so many years doing this work. So as a new member, I get to feel very comfortable because there's been so many who've accomplished so much before me. A fellow Californian once said that too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. Our next award winner seems to know all too well the power of such simple acts can have on the life of a child in foster care. Schaefer Shamir Smith, known better to the world as Neo, is a Grammy award-winning R&B singer, that's right, I heard it, songwriter, record producer, and dancer. Since releasing his debut album in 2006, he has had at least 6 songs top the charts. As if being a mediocre success in music is not enough, he is also a distinguished actor, having just finished his role as Andrew Smokey Salem, a tobacco-chewing fighter pilot in the George Lucas-directed film Red Tails. Originally from Las Vegas, Neo wasted no time before setting out to use his newfound fame for the betterment of youth in foster care. In 2007, he established the Compound Foundation, a nonprofit whose goal is to support bright futures for young people by helping them to forge healthy relationships, pursue education and training, teach entrepreneurship, business basics, and realize their dreams. In addition to scholarships and youth enrichment programs, Compound also hosts annual giving tours to bring holiday cheers and gifts to youth in foster care. Earlier tonight, we were given an incredible reminder of the powerful impact our actions can have on the future of youth in foster care. You did such a great job, RJ. Imagine what it means to a young man or woman in foster care when the hand that reaches out to deliver the help they both need and deserve belongs to Neo. Talk about feeling like you matter. I am so grateful for your help in raising awareness of the need for us to do better by these youth. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in honoring Neo as the 2012 Angel in Adoption.
You guys could have kept applauding. You guys could've. Thank you. That's what I'm used to. Thank you. The music industry has been very, very kind to me. I always have to point that out because the music industry is not a kind place. Not at all. There are hundreds of thousands of millions of people that want to get into music and are not as fortunate or lucky or blessed, I should say, as I have been. I received more through the music than anything I could have ever imagined, and I've always been told that you are given a blessing to be a blessing. So with that being said, I knew I wanted to give back. I just didn't know exactly how or what I wanted to get into. So child welfare was brought to my attention by my manager and business partner, Renelle Tango Hay. Basically what it is we went out to a few group homes. We went to a few group homes in LA, a few group homes in the Brooklyn area, and basically what I was shown was a system that is functional, but not perfect by any means. You know, shelter is one thing, food and clothing is one thing. Inspiration is a whole other thing, especially in dealing with kids that are basically counted out before they get a chance to fight, just because of the fact that they didn't come from, a home with two parents or one parent or whatever the case may be. So that's when we decided to found the Compound Foundation. Basically, what it is that we do is that we deal directly with the issues that child welfare has. From kids that age out of care. When you're moving around and your belongings are in a damn trash bag, moving to the next home or whatever the case may be. The last thing you're focusing on is learning how to balance a checkbook. You know what I mean? So. But at some point, you're going to need that skill. You're going to need just the regular skills that an average person would pick up, on their way to adulthood that you might not get the opportunity to due to the circumstances of how you're living. So we step in and make sure that these life skills are given to these kids. Make sure that they know that there are scholarships that you can get just because you're a foster kid. A lot of these kids don't even know that. They don't even realize. So that's where we step in. I have to thank Kalila. She runs my foundation. I always say that she holds my brain. I'm a million miles a minute, so you forgot this. That's her. I also have to thank my mom, not for being a great mom. I'm sure that everybody in this room knows that mom is a title that can mean everything or absolutely nothing. So I have to thank my mom for being a great person as opposed to a great mom. Thank you for teaching me. Thank you for putting it in me so that I could put it out there in the world. I'm gonna say what everybody has stood up here and said. It's not an easy thing, but it's a necessary thing. I was taught a long time ago that anything is possible, but in a very realistic sense. Anything is possible, but anything worth it is not gonna be easy. That's just the bottom line. So if you're willing to work, anything is possible. If you're willing to make it happen, anything is possible. And that's what we try to show these kids, that your circumstance, where you come from, where you live, what parents you did or didn't have, these are speed bumps, not stopping blocks. So with that being said, thank you guys so much. Thank you to everybody here. I'm going to get out of you guys' way. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Neo's just cool, man. That's just cool. There's not one member of Congress who can pull off that hat. That's what happens when you're cool like that. For those of you who have not had the pleasure of seeing our next award presenter speak, let me tell you, you are in for a treat tonight. I've been in her home. I have heard her speak. And she loves to speak about a child's need to be loved by a forever family, and can tell you that no one speaks from the heart and to the point when it comes to these issues. The 34th most senior member of the Senate, Mary Landrieu, is a force to be reckoned with when it comes to two things. When she speaks on these two things, nothing else matters: Louisiana and children. Last year, she celebrated this dinner with her mother, Verna, who shared with many of us that the senator's passion for foster care started when she was just a young girl and came across a small boy on a park bench. Some of you remember that experience. This defining moment left a mark on her heart, and the children of the world are grateful for her committed leadership on their behalf. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Senator Mary Landrieu from the great state of Louisiana.
Thank you, please. Thank you. What a spectacular evening, ladies and gentlemen, this has been. And everyone that's been part of the program so far tonight has really been outstanding. And speaking from their own heart and their own experience in the ways that only they can, have urged us all to do more. And I know many of you in this room, And those of you that I don't know personally, I've heard about, a little bit about, through this whole process this year. Your congressmen, the senators coming up to me and saying, oh, Mary, you can't wait to see the angel that I'm nominating this year. Or I know the work that you do internationally or domestically. So I want to just thank you all for having a spectacular night. And it's my honor in just a few minutes to introduce our third national angel. And there are two. It's a couple. And you all know who they are, but give me just 1 minute because there's just one thing I want to say first. I want to really thank Kathleen Chapman and her staff. And I want you all to give them a round of applause for an extraordinary effort. An extraordinary effort. Every year, and the volunteers, the secret weapon that Kathleen has as once a congressional staffer, always a congressional staffer. So what you may not realize is she gets all the other congressional staffers to volunteer to make tonight happen. So for all of our volunteers, thank you, thank you, thank you. And our first executive director is in the audience, Carrie Hallsberg, who's spectacular, and her husband. Our first board of directors is still here. This is an organization that people get attached to, and they never leave. We never let them leave. Even if they have to sort of step off and do other things, they come back, they're attached, and that's the way we like it, because we're a family and we just sort of never leave each other. So Carrie, thank you, and what you're doing, and everyone here. And I have to thank my colleagues. Karen Bass has been terrific. You all might not realize this, but Karen was the first African-American woman to ever serve as a Speaker of the House of the state of California. And she is an expert on foster care policy. And now she's been elected to Congress, and I was the happiest person in Congress when she was elected. And before she could even take her oath of office, I think I was in her office asking her to come join and help us. So we have such talented people: Senator Blunt, Senator Bozeman, Senator Levin, Senator Warner. Many of the congressmen were here, and we do this together, and Michelle Bachmann. Now, have you ever seen a stage in Washington where we have Democrats and Republicans standing together and no one is arguing? Isn't this wonderful? Isn't this great? Because we don't argue about any of this. We just roll up our sleeves and do our job, whether President Clinton is in the White House or President Bush or President Obama, and whoever is the next president, we work with them to do our job. And so I'm so proud to have you all here to join with us. And for those of you that are new tonight, there is something you can do to help continue this effort in Washington, domestically, and around the world. I have to say, RJ, you and Karen stole the show tonight. I have to say, we have celebrities here, and we're so proud of our very famous people who we love to see on the television, who we just think, oh, we wish we looked like that, we wish we sounded like that, and of course we don't, but we love to think about the possibility. But you know what? You know, God has created each one of us to do something so special. And I hope that everyone here knows, even if you're not a member of Congress, even if you're not a special actress or an actor or a singer, I mean, you can do powerful and extraordinary things in your community, where you were born, where you live, where you're planted. And Kathleen has had a mother just like my mother. And I can remember my mother saying so many things to me: grow where you're planted, do what you can, always do your best, you know, love others. And, you know, we were very blessed with the kind of mothers and fathers that the two of us have. So really, in their honor, we do this work. So it's my great honor to introduce an extraordinary woman, and I'm going to embarrass her because I'm going to tell you all, she's been crying the whole night. And she's been sitting next to me, and I don't know if she's going to make it through her speech, but she is charming and she is fantastic. Katherine Heigl and her husband, Josh, are here, and they are the most extraordinary couple. Many of you know Katherine. We laughed and cried through the daily trials and tribulations of Izzy Stevens of the ABC drama Grey's Anatomy, which I have watched 1,000 times with my daughter Mary Shannon. It was her favorite show, and we watched it religiously. Shortly after her portrayal of Allison in the popular movie Knocked Up, gave every video game playing, slightly overweight, lovable nerd the hope that they too might one day stand a chance with a beautiful, glamorous woman. And who can forget her performances in 27 Dresses that earned her Female Star of the Year now at the Show West Awards. Now, Josh Kelley, her wonderful husband, an acclaimed singer and songwriter in his own right, spent the majority of the past decade defying musical genre with his approachable and appealing sound, perhaps best known for the top 5 hit Amazing. His newest album, Georgia Clay, includes songs such as The Great Idea and 2 Cups of Coffee, etc. You have heard his wonderful music. But most importantly tonight, to all of us, like most proud parents, Josh and Katherine waste little time before letting the world know what becoming parents meant to them. Katherine has shared with many how adoption has been something she always wanted to do, ever since her family, and her mom is here, and I'm going to ask Miss Nancy to stand. Nancy, please stand, and her sister Meg, adopted from Korea many years ago. And Josh, so Katherine always wanted to adopt. Josh agreed. This is how things go in marriages. Trust me, I know. And so they went on through adoption. And speaking about their daughters coming into their life, they have 2 daughters. And the first one, Josh said, quote, "From the first time my baby girl brushed her hand against my face, my life was changed forever. As parents, we know that feeling and remember those moments." Katherine and Josh, your willingness to so openly share your personal experience with adoption has led people everywhere to consider opening their hearts and their homes to children. Would you all stand and welcome Katherine and Josh? Katherine Heigl, Josh Kelley.
Wow. She's very short. So I guess we're going to talk about little Bananas Fosters and Peanut Butters.
Those are their nicknames. We just want to, first of all, we're so honored to be here. This is such a privilege, and we're so grateful to Senator Landrieu and the CCAI. This is remarkable what you're doing. It's so meaningful and it's so important, and it's so nice for us to get to participate in something that means something for a change. And we feel a little silly being honored for doing the right thing. It feels like, well,
yeah, but
the right thing is just the right thing to do. You don't get awards for it. It's just you get your heart filled for it.
But this is an example that we want to, we're not shy about what we do with our children and putting them out there, because we feel like that we want to lead by example, and we want people to realize that that the need is there, and that this is a fantastic way to grow a family and build a great experience in your life. And I want to thank my mother-in-law, Nancy. Actually, she stole our thunder, I know, by doing that. That was going to be the first thing I said,
So
but this
smart,
wouldn't
just
have
earned
never
so
happened.
many brownie points, right?
Yep. Brownie points. But literally, we would have never known to do this if Nancy wouldn't have led the way on this. And I thank you, because I'm telling you, these little girls they mean everything to me, and they have changed me. And there's a line in my song that says, "I couldn't see past me till I saw you." And it's true. it's changed us into different people, into better people. It's made me a better man, a better husband, and I just love being a dad.
Yeah, and he's a great dad, a really, really great
We didn't
dad.
think about what we were going to say.
I did. He just does all the talking.
It's my style.
Yes, you're very good at this, honey. I wanted to tell a story that my mom tells my sister and I all the time, and it's a powerful message, and I think it's been communicated here tonight on so many occasions by everybody who stood up here, that there's so much power in just one person helping just one other person, or for us, it's all about the voiceless and the innocent, and children are that. And she tells this story about a little boy walking down the beach, and on the shore had washed up hundreds and hundreds of starfish, and the little boy was just walking along and tossing one starfish back into the ocean at a time. And an older gentleman is coming across him the other way and says, what are you doing? And the little boy says, well, I'm tossing the starfish back in the ocean. He says, but there are hundreds of them. You can't save them all. It's not going to mean anything. It's not going to matter. And he picks one up and tosses it in and says, mattered to that one. And that's my mother's message, and has always been. And adoption has obviously been a part of my life, my whole life. And my sister, my parents adopted from South Korea 3 years before I was born. I love to throw that in because she's older than me. And
Megan.
And she is the only face I know for sister. She's my sister through and through. And I couldn't imagine Josh and I starting our own family without it resembling the one that I had come from, and hence the tradition went on. And people often say to us that, oh, your daughters are so lucky that you adopted them, and that sentiment has never sat well with us. It doesn't seem to fit right, because the truth is that we're so lucky. We're so lucky for these girls, and thank you. But they've changed us in profound ways that only children can change you in, and they've made us a family. And Senator Landrieu said last night that, it doesn't matter what a family looks like, but everyone should know what a family feels like. And there are so many children out there who don't know that yet, don't know what that feels like. And my sister feels like family to me, and my daughters are family to me. They have made me understand on huge levels what it feels like to be a family. And we're here tonight to honor that and celebrate it and to encourage it, and to get everybody to understand that, like RJ and his wonderful teacher, that just one person can make a difference in one person's life, and that is profound. That is huge. And if we could all do it, this would be a different world. We'd be living in a different world. Did you have anything else you wanted to say?
I'm good. I want to thank the CCAI for having us here. This is a huge honor, and thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Katherine. Thank you, Josh. We're so proud of both of you. I grew up in a home. My parents and I immigrated to this country when I was 7 years old, and we had two small proverbs that were embroidered by my mother that hung in our home. One read, the most important work that we will do is within the four walls of our home. And the other read, no success can compensate for failure in the home. We so love you, angels, tonight for your commitment to taking care of these children and taking care of families. We appreciate you and we love you. Thank you so much. We'll close the evening tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Josh Kelley is going to show us just how amazing he is. God love you. God bless you. Have a great evening. Let's see you next year.
this is an honor, and I remember that first moment when my daughter did touch my face for the first time, and I just felt so, selfless for the first time, and I wanted to capture that moment and put it in a song. And her name is Nancy Lee Miyun Kelley, and I'm from Augusta, Georgia, so I'm a super redneck, I guess, and we smush a lot of words together, and so we call her Naylee Moon. And this is a sweet song, and I wrote one for her, and I actually recently just wrote one for Adelaide because I realized that might be something they fight about one day, who's got the better song. So this is the first one, and this is called Naylee Moon. I know the kind of guy I am, a bit too much into myself, not much left for someone else. And I'm sure I caused my share of pain, but all that changed when you first touched my face. Halfway around my little world, you had no idea that you were my girl. You found my arms, not a moment too soon. I couldn't see past me till I saw you, my sweet Naylee Moon. Oh, oh, yeah. I love the man you're making me. Yeah, every day I wanna prove there's nothing I won't do for you. And just to see you in your mama's arms is more than enough to bring me to my knees. Halfway around my little world, you had no idea that you were my girl. You found my arms, not a moment too soon. I couldn't see past me till I saw you, my sweet Naylee Moon. Oh, 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 I can't imagine life without my Naylee Moon. Halfway around my little world, you had no idea that you were my girl. You found my arms, not a moment too soon. I couldn't see past me till I saw you. I couldn't see past me till I saw you, Naylee Moon. Oh, 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 yeah, my sweet Naylee Moon. Oh, oh, thank you so much. You're going down, and you're going down. They planned this. Punks. All right, well, we'll do the one for Adelaide. La Addie Marie, little peanut butters. Peanut butters? She's the cutest thing you've ever seen in your life. It's beyond love. I'd nibble on this child. It's more. That should be the next new song, right? It's more than a nibble. smush her name together. Katie, you're going to have to figure that one out. Addie M. I like that. All right, if I forget the words, it's not like you're going to know you've never heard it. Oh, I've heard creation sing, and it brought me to my knees. Still, it just can't seem to find a song as beautiful as you. I've seen most every kind of sunrise and make the toughest cowboy cry. Still, it just can't seem to paint a sky as beautiful as you. Hallelujah, you're my angel, the very reason I believe that there must be someone up there. Hallelujah, you're my angel. Oh, I felt the winter's cold could freeze a man to his bones, but never have I shaken more than when I first held you. Oh, I've loved and I have lost, broken bridges I have crossed. Now I'm in debt to all that brought me right here with you. Hallelujah, you're my angel, the very reason I believe that there must be someone up there. Hallelujah, you're my angel. Where lonely ends, we begin. My heart and soul can't hold it in. Hallelujah, you're my angel, the very reason I believe that there must be someone up there. Hallelujah, you're my angel, baby. Hallelujah, you're my angel. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the 2012 Angels and Adoptions program. Have a wonderful evening.